Welcome back. We are here again to recap and review season 2, episode 4, The Siege of the Mandalorian. What did you think? What do you like? Just like out of the gate, uh, did you like this? You like this episode a lot? Yeah. I like it. I think I like it. I don't know if I liked it as much as some of the previous episodes. I'm
Mm.
curious to hear your thoughts. Let's just jump. Well, no, let's not just jump right into it. How you doing, Ray?
Oh, I'm doing all right.
You doing good? Okay,
Yeah. How
good.
about you?
Just wanted. I'm good. I just need to check in before we get into the Star Wars of it all. Make sure you're doing good.
Thanks. Smart idea.
Okay, so the siege. Let's start off with the cold open, which is probably my favorite part of the episode. We're calling this No, the Red Wire. Probably the cutest Baby Yoda like extended sequence we've ever gotten. Baby Yoda's trying to fix the ship in a little part of the ship the Mando can't get to. Was so flipping cute. Oh my gosh.
So the thing that's so cute about it is not necessarily what Baby Yoda is doing, but what Mando is doing.
Yes.
I think like Baby Yoda has done cuter things than stick two wires together and get electrocuted, but like Mando hasn't been so much like, no, you have to put the red wire where the blue wire was, and you're just sitting there going, what has happened? You are like a killer and you're it's
Well,
just
he's so
cute.
patient with Baby Yoda, which is adorable. He just kept going in the cadence of the line. Like, no, the red wire. Now put the red one where the blue one. It was very, very funny. Um,
It's like I can't be any clearer, but I have to
yeah,
not be frustrated. Like it's just so
yeah.
good.
But then when he's like, but don't put them together.
No.
They're both live, and then
And
he
opposite polarity
right,
and
and then of
no.
course he does, and then seeing Baby Yoda being electrocuted was stupidly adorable.
And he's like, "Eh."
And the
Like
little
it was
cough afterwards was just amazing.
oh,
Yeah, so that's a great scene.
it was a very great scene.
A good cold open, which leads them to the realization that they need to get some help to get the ship fixed. So they go back to Navarro,
Mhm.
which leads us to our next segment, going home. Sees some familiar faces, Grief Karga, Cara Dune, and what is that blue guy's
Oh, what
name
is that, guys?
that Horatio Sands plays? I had it here in my notes.
He was one of
Um,
Mando's bounties in the first season.
yes, he's in the very first sequence of the first season. That's the guy
That's right. That's
that he captured. Um, I can't find. I thought I had it in my notes. If I find it, I'll say the name later. But so we see that guy too, the bounty from the first episode of The Mandalorian, who joins them on an adventure.
He's
Um,
the okay, I'll come along, but I'll complain the whole time guy. You got to
yeah,
have one of those guys in every
yeah.
like
But he
mission.
didn't want to come along. They like dragged him
That's true.
along with
It was
him.
a
Yeah,
very
yeah. Um, uh, we see that Kara is now the marshal of Navarro. Cleaning up these streets. We get a nice sequence with her before Mando gets there. Uh,
super actiony.
Super actiony, which is good. Served its purpose. I
She
was really
has
happy
like
to see her, and she got like
she's
bulked
got
up this
even more
season.
muscles than she had before, and I was drooling
Yeah.
over her muscles before. Like, sheesh.
um,
Please break me in half.
yeah, yeah. So it was good to see her and Grief again. I loved how happy Grief was to see Baby Yoda.
Oh no, that was also like every cute thing about Baby Yoda this time was the person interacting with Baby Yoda being adorable about
Yeah.
interacting with Baby Yoda. Not everyone, but
Hmm.
there were some other great moments. But
Apparently there's some some stuff that they need done as usual,
Oh yeah.
right?
Mando goes
So
anywhere and everyone's like, "Hey, buddy, can
yeah,
you help us?"
yes. Um, which leads us to the next sequence, which is this week's Knight Errant. They need him to help break into some sort of facility that is the only Imperial thing left on the planet,
Some
and
outpost,
some
some
outpost thing. They're
something.
like, oh yeah, if we get rid of this, we'll truly be free.
Hmm.
They think it's some sort of production facility.
Oh yeah, with like lots of guns or something.
Yeah. So they're going to go and blow it up and get rid of the last remnant of the Empire on this planet. But before they do that, they need to drop Baby Yoda off. So they drop him off at a school where he kind of hangs out with some school kids.
And a
All the
C-3PO
kids
teaching their
and a
class.
yeah, and a 3PO unit teaching class, doing something very reminiscent of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because the droid is just droning on and asking questions and no one would answer, and you hear the droid in the background going, "Anyone? Anyone?"
Oh no.
That's right, blah, 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 and just say the answer. It was definitely Ferris Bueller, like Ben Stein homage there.
Oh, amazing.
Um, and then we get more cute Baby Yoda, with Baby Yoda really wanting what looked to be
Macarons.
macarons,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. They're bright blue.
Bright blue.
As per usual with Star Wars, food is blue.
Yeah. And this kid who's just like, what? No, these are mine.
Baby Yoda's like,
He put his little cloud. Can I have one?
and dude's like,
No.
no.
And then like looks, turns around, and says, I didn't give this kid anything. Meanwhile, Baby Yoda uses the Force and just jacks his stuff. And the kid just accepts it. Like, all right, well, I guess it's
He's
yours
kind of
now.
like, well, if you can do that, I'm not gonna fight you for it.
But he didn't see him do the Force thing. He's just like, what? How'd you get
Well,
my
yeah,
food? Well, whatever. You're cute. Super adorable.
super adorable.
Um, and then we don't see Baby Yoda for a while. We're back to
Right.
the action of it all. We get to our next segment, which is let's blow the whole thing up.
As per
Um,
usual.
as per usual, we get this nice action sequence, and there's not really much to say, right? It's a well constructed, set piece. The interesting thing in here is that we get some really interesting information about Baby Yoda. We see a
Mm,
hologram of the scientist from the first few episodes of the Mandalorian
that was
back
hanging out with
again.
what's his nut.
Yeah, which tells us that he's still alive because this is a recent recording, only 3 days old. Uh, and we see all of these malformed clones.
Yeah, they don't. They look humanoid, but not
Hmm.
human.
Yeah, and the recording basically says, the most of the clones just die out pretty quickly. The longest one that lived was a fortnight. They've not been able to replicate the success that they had with Baby Yoda, with the child, which tells me that they were slowly extracting, because they say M
They,
count, which I'm
what
pretty
is
sure is
that?
supposed to mean midichlorian count, which is how you measure someone's force sensitivity, their connection to the force, how powerful they are in the force is connected to their midichlorians, which is something from the prequel trilogy.
Oh, I forgot about that. So they're what it sounded like was they were taking blood from Baby Yoda and putting it into clones to try to give them force sensitivity,
Force sensitivity. That's what I'm thinking.
but they
And
didn't have a large enough sample of the blood, and so they really need Baby Yoda again.
right. And then we have this big chase scene. So right, they find this out, and then Mando's like, I got to get back to the kid. He
Mhm.
realizes, like, I cannot leave this kid alone on this planet. This is too close to the, because they were also realize in this moment that Moff Gideon
Right.
survived. He realizes, shit, I have to go get the kid.
Hmm.
Moff Gideon is still looking for him. This is bad. Um,
And
and
the rest of
then
them have to
yeah, so
go.
Mando gets out pretty quickly. Nice little jetpack sequence.
Mhm.
The other three have to fight their way out, and that's a pretty awesome scene. I kept waiting for one of them to get shot, but luckily
No.
Stormtroopers are really bad at aiming. So
And they were all very good shots, even bluegills.
yes, yeah, yeah. The blue guy took a few people out. Yeah. So that sequence was good. It was very well constructed. That leads to the escape leads to our next segment, which is the big chase. So they steal some sort of ground transport and use it to get
Oh,
out. And then they get chased by speeder bikes and TIE fighters.
I know. It's so good.
Pretty thrilling sequence. Looks like
And the
they do a
transporter
great
has
job.
the like tail guns in it and
Hmm.
everything. So there's one person driving and one person shooting, and it was so that whole sequence from like when they pull up in their fucking like speeder car to when they get back to the base feels so like old school Star Wars, like so many like the actual like original franchise feeling of it. They're in that fucking speeder car. They go to a door that they have to figure out how to, those doors, they have to figure out how to get through it. They like are fighting stormtroopers. They have to get a little like key to get into things and then get out again. They've got to like have the one guy driving doing all the like, evasive action and the person in the tail gun like shooting at the speeder bikes like with the guys with their speeder weird ass helmets
I
and
love those
then
helmets. Those
I
visors
love
on
those
that are
helmets.
really cool. Yeah, yeah.
I know, I love those guys. And then of course the fucking TIE fighters, like it just like warmed every Star Wars cockle in my heart for because my true love is the first three movies, 4, 5, and 6, and like it just felt so much. It had
Hmm.
so many callbacks to that. Like you keep finding all these callbacks to like other parts of the everything, and I'm like, man, I just want shit that makes me think of 4, 5, and 6. And this episode did that like over and over again. It was like everything about that felt
Yeah.
very much like old school Star Wars. And I'm just
It's a
all
fun sequence. It's a fun
yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
I felt that the balance though between like story and action for me was a little unbalanced.
Mm.
I thought there's a lot of action and not that much story. So if you're there for the action, then I think you're gonna be very satisfied. For me, I always like give me some story, give me as much story as I can get. I just eat that up. I was happy with the story I got because there was some stuff that really has some major implications for what we know. Um, I'm wondering how long did they have the child in captivity? How long were they? Was this clone is Baby Yoda like literally a clone of Yoda that they've had since Yoda was around, like before the fall of the Old Republic,
Well, we tried to do the math on this before. It's possible, right?
right? Yeah, it's possible that they got like a genetic sample um, before he went into hiding,
Right, right.
right? Like during the Clone Wars, I'm
Hmm.
thinking they probably got a genetic sample of Yoda and bred another Yoda, and we're just slowly like
Fucking crazy
siphoning,
idea.
yeah, genetic material from him to put into clones to make them force sensitive. And I have a
But
theory on that too, because so one of the last things we see is we see Moff Gideon,
oh yeah,
right?
what's your theory on that?
So at the end of the chase, and Mando's like, "Okay, I sorry guys, I have to go. I can't stay any longer. I have to get going because I have to get the baby out of here." But we find out that one of the mechanics was
Who
an
was being
Imperial.
creepy from the very
Oh
beginning.
yeah, very knowing. Like, okay, all
Yeah, it's
right,
like
they're
that
leaving.
guy's gonna be a
Right?
bad
Yeah,
guy.
they telegraphed that pretty
Oh
pretty
yeah,
clearly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, put a tracking beacon on the Razor's crest, or the Razor's crest,
Razor Crest.
Razor crest,
Yeah.
and his contact in Gideon's army lets Gideon know Gideon is overseeing some thing. Like there's
Yep.
all of these black stormtrooper um outfits there. I think
But
there's
they,
probably people in those outfits.
yeah, they don't seem like they're empty outfits.
I think he is reactivated some sort of clone thing, or these are people that have been augmented with force sensitivity. We'll get more into that in the Easter egg section. Why I think about that.
No,
Why I think that that
that
is a
was my thought
possibility.
too.
hmm
Yeah.
I think he has some larger plans. I found that very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Especially coupled with the other like expanding our understanding of what Mando's going to be dealing with
yeah,
regard to the Mandalorians, like the other Mandalorians. How
yeah.
this is
And
all
as
going
I
to fit together.
thought, as I guessed that we weren't going to see any Ahsoka Tano in this episode, so I think that's going to be the next episode where we get that. I think they'll finally make it to the planet and find her. So that's the episode. Okay, so let's get into some spoilers. We'll start with those troopers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
looks like he's working on something big.
Mm-hmm.
You have these big, intimidating black stormtrooper armor things.
And large scale. It seemed like there were a fuck ton of them.
Yeah. So in the Dark Empire comics from Dark Horse, there were these black stormtroopers that were force sensitive Imperial commandos.
Oh.
Um, I I think it might be them. There's also something similar in one of the video games. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think that there's some sort of connection to that because that's now not canon. So I'm thinking maybe they're bringing that back in, so that will be reintroduced in this as canon.
I'm sorry, did
Um,
people just like get to like suddenly go that whole section not canon? That whole section?
so all of the stuff prior to the acquisition of Lucasfilm by Disney, all of the old expanded universe stuff became non-canon. That is now known as Legends series stuff.
Weird. Does that include
So
the Timothy Zahn books?
the Timothy Zahn books are not considered canon, though they have introduced elements of the Timothy Zahn books into what is now official canon. We have seen
Interesting.
Grand Admiral Thrawn, for example, who is the main villain in his Heir to the Empire trilogy.
All
We
right.
see him in Star Wars Rebels. Very well done as well. I believe they've also introduced the Nogri, which were this lizard-like race of beings from the Heir to the Empire trilogy. That they also introduced them.
Mhm.
By the way, when I used to do the Star Wars role playing game by West End Games, I played a Nogri, a very very force powerful Nogri that used to be part of a secret assassin's guard for Vader himself. Just no big deal. No big
Oh,
deal.
okay.
um, so yeah, but I
Fancy.
think there's definitely some sort of perhaps new connection to that. They're
All right.
bringing back the Dark Troopers, I think so.
I'm
Um,
interested.
yeah. Uh, we get to see Navarro again, the home of the Bounty Hunters Guild. Looks like it's been a lot more cleaned up since Caro's there.
Civilians just hanging out.
I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a statue in the background of IG-11. So
No,
they
I
made a
didn't see
monument
that.
to IG-11 for a
Oh,
sacrifice.
I
Yeah,
love
so I'm
it.
assuming that Grief Karga had that commissioned, which is really, really sweet. Um, I have to go back and listen to the. I'm assuming there's probably a ton of Easter eggs in whatever the teacher droid is saying in the background.
Oh, yeah. It's
Um,
like a geography lesson, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that the droid mentions Coruscant, but I
that
have to
sounds right.
listen for the rest of them. But like I said, very much an homage to to Ben Stein.
Bueller.
Um, yeah,
Bueller.
anyone. That's right, Coruscant. Um,
Oh,
uh,
sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
We forgot to talk about that part at the end when the fucking uh rebel cop was like checking in.
That's my next Easter
No,
egg.
that's so funny.
We see the rebel cop back again. The guy from Kim's Convenience is back. There's like, I swear there's only like two, like
X-Wing
they're not
fighters
Imperial,
going
New
around.
Republic cop,
New
but there's
Republic.
only like two New Republic cops in like all of the Outer Rim. It's just like him and
Kind
Trapper
of.
Wolf, and that's it. But yeah, so he comes back and he's just like, and sure, trying to
You
get
don't remember
information.
anything before the
Yeah,
thing blew up? No.
yeah. What about the Razor's Crest? Oh, I never mentioned the Razor Crest. What are you talking about? But then he has a very interesting conversation with Kara
Hmm.
about Alderaan and how he served. He's like, I served in Alderaan, and who'd you lose? And she's like, I lost everyone.
Yeah,
Because right there,
he's
because
like, did you lose anyone? And she's like, I
yeah,
lost everyone.
right. My whole planet was blown up, dude. Like, come on. Um, and left her a New Republic, like,
Shield?
yeah, some
I
sort
mean,
of, yeah.
like a badge.
Is it like his cop badge? I was very
I couldn't
confused.
tell. I don't know.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if it was also sort of like uh one of the things that would like not a beacon, but like do the hologram thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a thing you could touch and make a hologram shit happen or anything, was it? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Um, as you mentioned earlier, that escape from the facility like felt very original trilogy. Um, yeah, the gunner like seat felt very like Luke in A New Hope. The speeder bikes for me felt very Return of the Jedi. Like that was a very old school feel
Yeah, I loved it.
there. Hmm.
I love when they have to try to like lock on targets, then the weird crosshair, like the super fucking old school uh
Yeah.
technology that they have. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I'm
don't
not
know.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, then that Imperial lab seemed to have those like Strandcast clones that we see. It looked very similar to what we saw in Rise of Skywalker.
Were they in back to baths? What was going on there?
Yeah, so you haven't watched Rise of Skywalker, have you?
Not yet, no.
Okay. So
It's the only one I
in that
haven't though.
So in that one, we find out that Snoke was a clone. They call them strand casts.
Whoa.
They're like bioengineered people, and Snoke was bioengineered by Palpatine to manipulate Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's
So
not surprising at all.
yeah,
That sounds exactly right.
but it looked like very similar, like back to tanks, like that we saw in that movie.
All
So
right.
I and we know, like we could tell from that scene that we see in Rise of Skywalker that they're not easy to make, that there's lots of failed tries before you get a good one. And it looked like that's what we were seeing.
Oh, interesting. Okay, sure.
Yeah. M count, like I said, is shortening the word midichlorians, which is from the prequel trilogy. These are the microscopic energy life form things that make it possible for us to connect with the force. So if you're very powerful in the force, it's because you have a lot of midichlorians in your body.
Got it.
So when someone says the force is strong with this one, like that means like this dude got some midichlorians, you know. Um,
Instead, instead of saying he's got some balls,
yeah,
that's chlorine.
yeah. So that was very interesting.
Hmm.
I liked the way it was used here because it would make sense for the scientists to think of the force in those terms.
Right.
I know a lot of people didn't like that introduction in the Phantom Menace, so we get that when young Anakin asks Qui-Gon Jinn about midichlorians. He's because he hears Qui-Gon say earlier in the movie, that this kid has like a midichlorian count that he's never seen so high before,
Hmm.
and he says, "I was just wondering, what are midichlorians?" Terrible acting job, Jake Lloyd, but it's okay.
So bad.
So I got love for you, but it was not his best work. And that's when we get that explanation that the midichlorians are these organisms in our bodies that allow us to connect with the force. So
I think that's kind of great because, like, my dad always says that science is the how and religion is the why. So they
Hmm.
don't actually like cancel each other out or like disagree. They're just looking at the same thing from a different lens. So I think it's kind of
Hmm.
cool to get not just the like Jedi's version of what the Force is, but like scientists' version of what the Force is.
Yes, and also it doesn't mean that it's not magic. It just means like this is the way our bodies are able to
Interact.
manipulate said magic, right? It's just a way to measure it. So I think it's yeah, I think both things can coexist. I didn't used to think that, but uh, as I've aged, I've warmed to the idea.
Love it.
um, the mithril. That's what. So he doesn't have a name. It's just his species is mithril, and they just refer to him as mithril. I don't think we actually know his name. They just
The
call
blue
him the
guy.
mithril. Yeah.
Blue
Which is played by Horatio Sands, who's most well known for being on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, he's funny. He's got good timing. He's great.
hmm Bill, I do feel I felt this when he first appeared in the first episode, and I feel this now that he doesn't really fit within the tone of the show. For
Mm,
me, he kind of breaks the world a little bit
mm,
for
hmm.
me. So like his he's just too sticky. I don't know, something about it just doesn't land right for me.
There's not a whole lot of. I mean, there's a decent amount of shtick in the like movies, maybe, but like this, I don't feel like this show is particularly shticky. So
Yeah,
maybe
so
he
like
shouldn't.
something about his brand of humor just feels not in place with the rest of the humor
Hmm.
in the series.
Hmm. I can see that.
Um oh, one other thing,
Mm.
the mithril um says that he still can't see out of his left eye, which I thought was
Yes,
funny because Han was blind for like hours after he'd been pulled out of the carbonite freezing
and this
and
dude
returned.
is still blind after months.
Yeah, so I thought that was a fun little callback there.
Yeah, I
I
know. I
liked that.
appreciated that.
Yeah. I think that's all I have for Easter eggs. I'm sure there's more in there. Like I said, I really want to go back and listen to what the teacher droid was
Hmm.
saying and try and get more out of there. I'm sure there's plenty of other characters that I'm not catching because there's always so many Easter eggs in the background of these shows.
Ooh, ooh! I just thought of another great Baby Yoda moment that we didn't talk about.
Oh, what?
Is how excited he was for the chase when Mando shows up. So the end of the like, we're gonna get away from all the speeder bikes and then get away from all the TIE fighters. The like when they're like, oh no, we're not gonna make it. Of course, Mando comes with in the Razor Crest and just like blows them out of the sky, but has to do some really crazy flying techniques to like get all of them. And little baby Yoda is like in the background, strapped in, going woo, woo,
And
with his
and
like while
Mando's
he's
like,
eating his
hold on
macron.
tight, and he's just like, I don't care. Woo!
And he's still eating those like bright blue macron.
hmm
And and at the end of it, they do all the, he's doing all this crazy whatever, and then blows up the final one, and the baby's like, yeah, but and like spits up blue all over himself.
Well, yeah, when Mando turns around, it's like
And
he
then
like he was like, that was fun, wasn't it, or something like that. And then
right,
Baby Yoda's just,
bleh.
it's so
And
cute.
and then Mando again, like this episode, like this is the episode of the cuteness isn't Baby Yoda, but the people reacting to Baby Yoda. And again, Mando like grabs his like, I don't know, some part of his like his cloak or something, and like goes to try to like clean up his like, oh you like
Yeah, like a
clean.
napkin or something.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
but
no,
he's
but
like
like
on the
something
phone
also,
while he's cleaning it up,
yeah,
right? He's
yeah,
like,
he's like
yeah, no,
talking
we
to him.
can't. We got to get going. He's like such a dad now.
It's amazing. He even says something like, I've got to take care of something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's hilarious because he's using a very euphemistic phrase to say I have to clean up the baby, and then we have to keep going. But it's more like I got something that to deal with on the bridge. I don't remember what.
Yeah. I
So
forgot
funny.
about that. That was super cute.
But he's like, "Oh, you always oh."
Yeah.
Ah, it's so cute.
Yeah. So yeah, so this was it was a solid episode. Like I said, it didn't for me reach the heights of some of the previous episodes, but it was really good. A lot of really great Baby Yoda sequences. And some information that I'm sure is going to really come into play
Mhm.
as the rest of this season unfolds. We're at the halfway point now, I think.
Oh, wow. I didn't
As we're
realize we were
4 episodes in, last season
two.
was like 8 or 9 episodes, so we're probably at the halfway point at
Okay,
this
I
point.
thought there were 10. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there are 10. Let me see if I can find out how many episodes there will be.
Well, they
But as
keep
I do
coming.
that, so give me your final thoughts on this episode.
Oh man. Okay, so I feel similarly to uh about this episode as I did to the first episode, in that it like hits all the like tropes that you're looking for, if you're looking for like a like, it's got the right formula. It's got the right formula for like a great um like space opera western type feeling. um
Mhm.
in that knight errant, if we're going, if we're talking about, there's like the episodes that do weird stuff, and then the like knight errant episodes, and this was right, I felt like right on target for one of those episodes. I agree that it didn't have as much like character stuff going on because we already knew all the characters. They brought people back instead of like letting us get to know new people. So they didn't really have to do any of that because we already know and love these guys. um but because it hits so many like original trilogy feels for me, and like all those callbacks to like that kind of feel, um of like the pilot and the ball gunner and the like, you know um here we're storming through some like empire thing and having to kill all these troopers and whatnot kind of stuff. Like it hit all those great buttons for me too, that just it's like stack up all the fun points for me.
So
um
what's your rating?
and oh man, and the baby Yoda moments, they were so good. Again, they were like the person reacting to the baby Yoda was
Hmm.
sort of the best parts. um which is fun because he's sometimes it feels a little bit like he's in a bubble. Like it's either a moment where Baby Yoda is being cute, or it's a moment that like serves the story. It's rare that they, connect.
Yeah.
And to have it connect, to have it be, it's not just Baby Yoda being cute, but the person reacting to Baby Yoda felt a little bit more fluid, I guess. Um, in that was really nice. But that didn't answer your question, which
No.
is how much I loved it. I mean, my rating system is purely off the cuff and emotional and has nothing to do with anything. So like
That's fine.
I'm sure at some point like my favorite episode is going to get a 6, which is outside of the actual like, this is a 1 through 5 scale, I am aware. But like um, so be ready for that, everyone, because I don't make any sense. But I yeah, I think I just really like this show. I don't know that I can really be like critical of it
It's okay. You
that
can
much.
give it gushing reviews every week and give it a 5 every week if you want. That is totally fine.
I'm just realizing, I'm like, man, this is great. This is
My
great.
ratings have been consistently pretty high, so
Yeah.
for this season.
I agree with you that it isn't a lot of the stuff that like I traditionally really love, which is
Mhm.
the character development and the like um interesting like what people's motivations are and stuff. We're not getting that in
Mhm.
this.
Well, what's your rating?
So uh Oh man, I'm bad at this.
Just say it. There's no wrong answer.
4.3 and a half.
Okay, four point
That
three and
makes
a
no
half.
sense.
Okay. No, that
4.35.
works. Okay. That's 4.3 and a half. So
I
yeah.
know.
Okay. For me, like I said, I it really enjoyed the action sequences. Pretty thin plot wise. Didn't necessarily have to be heavy plot wise, but for me, I do prefer a little bit more character development. This was more action
Mhm.
and exposition info dumps to inform the back half of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and I should say that my rating does not reflect how much I actually enjoyed the episode because I really did very much enjoy the episode. I'm grinning ear to ear and squealing. Actually, Kate heard me squealing when the episode started because of the Baby Yoda sequence. Um, but overall, looking at it critically, I give this episode a 3.8.
Mm.
So, which is still a
Okay.
good rating. Out of 5, that's still very good.
Sure.
Um, yeah, so that will be my rating for this week. I think before next week's episode, I want to do like a mid-season like roundtable
Ooh.
about the season, just because we've reviewed half of the season, so I want to do a mid-season uh conversation about the Mandalorian. We'll probably talk a bit about season one too, because we haven't really gotten to talk in earnest about
No.
season one. So we'll probably talk about the stories so far in preparation for the back half of season two. Try and find some time to do that, maybe like Monday or Tuesday if you are available. I'd love to have you.
Yeah.
And we have a guest next week for our Mando review. Uh, Gavin is going to join us to talk
No.
the Mandalorian.
Of course.
Gavin, they are
Magic.
very just in love with the Mandalorian. So,
I'm deeply in love with Star Wars generally.
mhm, deeply in
We
love with Star Wars.
we
We'll have to
watched
get
the entire all of them through what were we through at that point?
mm,
8?
yes,
I think when
Last
Gavin and I were
Jedi.
hanging out, Last
Hmm.
Jedi had come out, but I confessed I'd never seen 1, 2, and 3. And so there was this moment where we had to watch them, I think in chronological order, in universe
Yeah.
chronological order.
So I've found that
And it was
there's a
great.
pretty big disconnect between like our generation of Star Wars viewers who turned their nose up at the prequel trilogy and the next generation whose entry to the universe was the prequel trilogy. And
Mm-hmm.
as I've gotten older and got over my like neckbeardy hate and looked at the prequel trilogy through, through unbiased eyes and listening to like the people that like just really loved and embraced it the entire time, really opened my eyes uh to all of the amazing things that there are in the prequel trilogy. There's so much lore that got introduced there
Mm-hmm.
that carries on in a beautiful way in the animated series.
And so much
Um,
characterization and like
mhm,
motivations that then carry through the next three. And
yeah,
yeah,
that reverberate through the Mandalorian.
that's true. Yeah.
There's so much prequel stuff that's like was reverberating through the Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have nothing but respect now for the prequel trilogy. I still think Jar Jar is racist AF, but
AF,
um,
which is why I never watched 2 and 3 because I was like, well, they just shat the bed on
yeah.
this on one.
You can tell that they realized how badly people reacted to Jar Jar because he definitely gets minimized in 2 and 3 very,
Mm-hmm.
very much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So that's our review and recap for this week. Like I said, I'm gonna see about perhaps doing a little midway point nerd out conversation about season one or first half of season two of The Mandalorian, and we'll probably talk a little bit about the first season as well. Try
I
and
have
get a
to
little
rewatch
roundtable. Maybe we
before
can
we
get
do that.
Thomas and Gavin for that, and just
Ooh.
talk about the Mandalorian series up to now as we prepare for next week's episode. We'll have to figure out what the schedule is going to be for talking about that, because that will be the holiday weekend.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll try and make sure we get that out by Saturday next week, hopefully. So yeah, that's our
Sounds
show.
great.
Yeah. Ray, thank you so much, as always, for talking Mandalorian with me. This has been fun. This has been a fun, because this is our first time ever doing these. I mean, we do this as friends all the time, but
All the time.
doing this every week has been really fun.
Yeah.
And so I'm sad we're already halfway through the series. Like, pretty soon we're going to be done.
Yeah, well, we can do it with another series.
Yeah. Yes, I would love that. I would love that. I would love to continue to do these like recaps and reviews. Uh, I would really love to do one for Steven Universe, but there's like
A
150
lot of
episodes of Steven
episodes.
Universe. They're 10-minute episodes,
But I'm never gonna get through that many.
but it's so good. I'm almost done with season 5. I cried earlier today because there's this big reveal, which I won't say because it's like
Spoiler.
probably the biggest spoil. I would assume it's the biggest spoiler that the show has. But the show's so amazing. It's so good. Also, like, I won't say who or any context for it, but there's like a big gay wedding in season 5 that just like I was just like it was so beautiful. It was so sweet. I
That's
really, really
yeah.
highly recommend it. Like, on
That's
a
all I know
children's
about it.
cartoon
Super
show,
queer. It's a
like the
children's cartoon
biggest,
show that's so
biggest,
gay.
queerest, beautiful celebration of love. It was amazing.
Oh, I love it so much.
Yeah, highly recommend. So,
Okay.
everybody, thank you so much. We're gonna cut this off before we keep nerding out
Yeah.
some more and just doing a whole nother episode. So, thank you everybody for watching. Tune in next week. Bye.
Bye.